Yurei Deco takes place in the cyber city of Tom Sawyer? Who the hell named this place Tom Sawyer? Anyway, there are a couple of different aspects to the city. There's the augmented reality part of it. It's physical reality, but pretty much everyone in this city has cybernetic eyes, so pretty much everything around them has a digital visual component, only visible to those with cyber, which makes sense. Why would you install a new neon sign when you could just have one digitally put there that everyone can see? It's cheaper. Why would you have a cosmetic surgery when you can just change your look of your face digitally? Another part of the city is the hyperspace, which is basically the internet, but you pass out IRL and become a fully digital character in a digital. In this show, we follow an interesting cast of characters. In the first few episodes, we mainly follow Barry, a schoolgirl who finds out about the Yurei, people who don't have the cyber eyes to interact with the broader society. She ends up going around with a group of these Yurei, solving mysteries. What did I like about this show? Well, I kinda liked the art style. In theory, having a city depicted in augmented reality sounds really cool. Like, it should look really cool, but nah, it's just like colorful squiggles here and there. I like the theory a lot, and I appreciate what they're trying to do, but it would just continually disappoint me visually. I do love the character designs, though. Everyone's super unique and stands out. It's one of those. There's a saying in creating character designs where your character design's good if you can tell who the character is just by the outline, and this show definitely follows that. You can pretty much tell who each of these characters are just by the silhouette, and they're good, good character design. I also did like some of the themes of friendship and how the show attempted to tackle censorship as a topic. I liked their attempts. I liked what they were attempting to do in theory. And I liked some of the execution. But, let's just talk about what I didn't like about the show. I wasn't a huge fan of the writing. It feels very clunky and awkward at times. A good example is like at one point when the characters are surrounded by cops, they just leave. Even though the cops all have tasers pointed at them, they just kind of watch them go like, oh man, I sure wish there was something I could do about this. This show just feels like it's full of moments where I'm like, why did that character do that? Like, characters acting mean for no reason, just for them to make up later in the episode. The conflicts just often feel so contrived. Maybe the best way to put it is that it doesn't feel like these characters have consistent motivations that guide them through the story. Feels like the writers wanted the characters to learn something, gain something, or do something, and then they worked back to get the plot points and motivations, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're a good writer, but it felt like those motivations and plot points were just lackluster as a result of their approach or their writing skill or some combination, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm not a big fan of big spoilers, so I'll just leave my dislikes. Overall, I give Yurei Deco a 5 out of 10. Just felt like a balance between things that I thought were fine and things that I thought were minorly irritating. And I really liked the show conceptually. I haven't seen many shows with this setting tackle these same themes, and I like that it was interesting that they tried and made that effort. I just didn't think they did a very good job. Before I say my goodbyes, there's some things that are minorly interesting about the show that I have to talk about. But that involves spoilers, so click away if you don't want to hear that. Okay, so the city is called Tom Sawyer, which is a character from a book by Mark Twain. The teacher that we see is clearly meant to resemble Mark Twain. Also, the place in the city that controls everything is way up in the sky. Okay, can you guess what that place is called? That's right, the place is called Mark Twain. The place that basically controls the city of Tom Sawyer is called Mark Twain. All right, I don't really like how this show would give places the names of just like normal people. Well, not, just normal person names. Why would you give a place a first and last name? Like, what if the place was called Twain's Domain instead of just Mark Twain? What if the city was called Sawyer City? Or Tom, it just feels clunky, right? Okay. Some of you may know. One of Mark Twain's most famous characters is Huckleberry Finn. Guess what the names of the 3 most prevalent characters in the show are? Hack, Barry, and Finn. Coincidence? Certainly not. But I mean, I haven't read any Mark Twain, so I can tell you what the heck any of that means for the narrative, but I feel like I have to say this because I don't know if anyone else will. Alright, finally, I have to spoil the ending real quick. So seriously, click away if you're at all interested. Alright, so one of the big mysteries of this show is called the zero phenomenon, where a big glitch will occur and basically reduces everyone's love count, which is like a measure of your social media likes and I guess also a currency. They'll reduce that love count to 0, this phenomenon. Oh. Guess why that we finally figure out why that happens. Guess why? Alright, it's because the person that runs everything up on Mark Twain, who has full surveillance of all of the city's people and access to all their personal data, wanted to stir up a crazy phenomenon that would help her find someone, quote, naive and innocent to take over and be her successor, unquote. Which is like, you already have citywide surveillance and access to everyone's personal data. You really had to do this stupid, dumb phenomenon to find the right person? It would have made sense if she would have said someone, I need someone who could have figured that out. But no, I needed it to find, because the person who's going to figure that out isn't necessarily a naive and innocent person. Okay, what if like a real jerk who's seen a lot of shit comes up there and is like, what if that person shows up? It's gonna be like, oh, I guess I kill you and wait for a naive, innocent person to solve this? I just don't understand. Right. And then the show ends with like one of the characters accepting the new position. This is what I mean, where it's like it felt like they wanted a thing to happen and then they worked backwards, but it just didn't work right. It's like how I've heard before that if you're lying about what you did, it's hard for you to recount what happened backwards, right? If you make up a story and you're trying to recount what happened backwards, it's really hard to do it because you probably memorized the events forward in like an order, and reciting it backwards is more difficult, right? That's what it feels like when you try to write a story backwards. It doesn't feel right. You kind of stumble a little because this isn't how it's supposed to work. Anyway, again, 5 out of 10. I did like some of the themes and stuff. I appreciate the attempt, but it's not great. 5 out of 10. Kind of a mixed bag. All right, that's it for me. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.